The sky turns dark over Heartland as the wind whispers through the open fields. The once peaceful ranch is heavy with silence. Amy stands by the fence, staring at the empty pasture where her beloved horse once ran free. Her hands tremble as she holds the old worn saddle. Something feels wrong. Something feels broken. This is not just another day at Heartland, this is the day Amy's heart begins to shatter. It was a bright morning at the Heartland ranch. The sun painted the hills in soft gold, and the horses grazed quietly in the open field. Amy smiled as she brushed the mane of her horse, the one she had raised since it was just a frightened colt. Every movement, every breath they shared felt like a rhythm, a connection no one else could understand. To Amy, this horse was not just an animal. It was her friend, her partner, her healer. Jack watched from the porch, his weathered face softening as he saw Amy laugh. "You've got a gift, kid," he said quietly, his voice filled with pride. Amy looked up, her eyes bright with love and confidence. "He's special, Grandpa. I can feel it. He trusts me." She didn't know it yet, but those words would echo painfully before the day ended. Later, as clouds began to roll in, Amy took her horse for one last ride before the rain. The trail was quiet except for the sound of hooves on dirt. The air felt heavy, the way it does before a storm. She didn't notice how the wind had changed, how the sky had darkened above her. All she could think about was how free she felt when she was riding, how every worry disappeared when it was just her and her horse, moving as one. But in the distance, thunder growled low. Birds scattered from the trees. The horse's ears twitched uneasy. Amy patted his neck gently, whispering to calm him. "It's okay, boy. Just a few more minutes." But the horse didn't calm. Something was wrong. The tension in the air was thick now, pressing down on both of them. A sudden flash of lightning lit up the sky, followed by a deafening roar. The horse reared in fear. Amy tried to hold on, but the panic was too strong. In one wild motion, the horse stumbled, its hooves slipping in the wet earth. Amy screamed as she fell to the ground. When she looked up, time seemed to stop. Her horse lay on the ground, still and silent. The rain began to pour. Amy crawled toward him, calling his name again and again, her voice breaking with every word. Her hands shook as she touched his neck, praying for a sign of life. But there was nothing. Only the sound of rain hitting the mud, and the echo of her sobs across the empty field. She sat there for a long time, the storm raging around her. Her tears mixed with the rain, her heart breaking with every breath. This was more than loss. It was the feeling of losing a part of herself. The next morning, Heartland didn't sound like Heartland anymore. The usual chorus of birds was gone. The breeze felt heavy, and even the horses seemed to move slower, quieter. The ranch carried the kind of silence that only follows heartbreak. Amy stood by the stable door, staring into the empty stall where her horse used to be. The smell of hay and leather surrounded her, but the warmth that once lived in that space was gone. Her hand still held the rope she had found beside the paddock, frayed and muddy. Every fiber of it told the story she didn't want to believe. She whispered his name under her breath, as if somehow he would answer. But all she heard was the echo of her own voice fading into the quiet morning. Jack approached softly, his boots crunching against the gravel. He didn't say anything at first. He didn't have to. He'd seen that kind of pain before, the kind that takes the words right out of you. He put a hand on Amy's shoulder, steady but gentle. "I'm so sorry, kid," he said finally. He was one of the good ones. Amy nodded but couldn't look at him. Her eyes stayed fixed on the stall. "I should have stopped when the storm got worse," she said, her voice cracking. "He trusted me, Grandpa, and I let him down." Jack sighed. "You didn't let him down. You loved him, Amy, and he knew that." But Amy didn't hear comfort in those words. She heard guilt, the kind that eats at your heart, slowly and quietly, until it's all you can feel. Inside the house, Lou and Lisa watched from the kitchen window. Lou bit her lip, holding back tears. "She's blaming herself again," she whispered. Lisa nodded, her eyes sad. "That's Amy. She feels everything so deeply. It's what makes her who she is." As the day went on, Amy tried to distract herself with chores. Feeding the horses, cleaning the stalls, checking the fences, all the things she'd done 1,000 times before. But now, every small thing reminded her of him. His empty halter hanging by the door, his favorite brush left on the fence. Even the sound of other horses made her chest ache. That night, she sat by the barn, wrapped in an old blanket. The stars were faint behind drifting clouds. She closed her eyes and tried to remember his breathing, the steady rhythm that had always calmed her. She could almost feel his presence, gentle and strong. But when she opened her eyes, all she saw was the quiet field stretching into darkness. Tears slipped down her cheeks as she whispered, "You were my best friend." The words hung in the cold air like a prayer. Jack watched from the porch again, his heart heavy. He knew grief like this doesn't fade overnight. It lingers, testing your strength, reshaping your spirit. And he also knew Amy's story wasn't ending here. It was only changing. Somewhere deep inside, beneath the sorrow, a spark of strength remained. It was small, hidden under layers of pain, but it was there waiting for the moment Amy would find her courage again. Days turned into weeks, and Heartland slowly found its rhythm again, but Amy didn't. The ranch kept moving. Horses needed feeding, fences needed mending, and guests still came and went. Yet Amy moved through it all like a shadow, present but far away. Her smile had faded, replaced by quiet stares into the fields where memories lived. One evening, while the sky burned orange over the hills, Amy walked down to the old paddock. The grass had grown uneven, dotted with wildflowers. She ran her hand across the fence rail, the wood rough beneath her fingers. Every step carried her closer to where it happened, the place she'd avoided for weeks. Her breath trembled, but she didn't turn back. A soft neigh broke the silence. From the far side of the field, a young mare stood watching, her eyes wide, curious, cautious. Amy froze. The mare was new, one that had been rescued only days ago, still afraid of human touch. Lou had brought her in, hoping Amy would work with her again someday. But Amy wasn't ready, or at least, that's what she told herself. Now, seeing the horse standing there, something inside her stirred. The mare's coat shimmered under the fading light, her stance nervous yet strong. Amy took a slow breath. She whispered softly, the way she always had with horses, her voice almost breaking. "Hey girl, it's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you." The mare's ears twitched. She took a hesitant step forward, then another. The moment felt fragile, like a thread of trust hanging between them. Amy's eyes filled with tears, not the kind that come from pain, but from something gentler, something that felt like the first breath after drowning. For the first time since the accident, Amy felt warmth spread through her chest. It wasn't joy, not yet. It was something smaller, the quiet beginning of hope. Jack, standing in the distance, watched her carefully. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. He knew that healing doesn't arrive in a single moment. It creeps in slowly, through small steps and silent courage. Later that night, Amy sat on the porch with a cup of tea. The stars were clearer than they'd been in weeks. Lou joined her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "She came to you today, didn't she?" Lou asked softly. Amy nodded, her eyes glistening. "Yeah, and I think I needed her more than she needed me." Lou smiled. "That's how it always starts with you, Amy. You help them heal, and somehow, they help you too." Amy looked out at the dark fields where the horses rested beneath the sky. "Maybe that's the point," she said quietly. "Every time we lose something, life finds a way to give us something new to care for." For the first time in a long while, Amy didn't feel broken. She just felt human, fragile, but alive. The pain hadn't disappeared, but it had softened, turning into something she could live with, something she could grow from. The night breeze moved through the grass, carrying the scent of rain and hay. Amy closed her eyes, listening to the sounds of the ranch. In that quiet moment, she realized her story wasn't about loss anymore. It was about finding the courage to keep loving. Even after heartbreak, the first light of dawn spilled over the Heartland hills, painting the sky in soft shades of gold and pink. For the first time in what felt like forever, Amy woke before the sun. She stood at her window, watching the light stretch across the fields, touching every corner of the ranch she'd once feared she might lose herself in. The pain was still there, faint but real, like a scar that had learned to stop bleeding. But this morning felt different. It felt lighter. She pulled on her boots, the same ones still marked with mud from that night. They carried memories, but also strength. When she stepped outside, the air was crisp and full of promise. In the distance, the young mare grazed near the fence, lifting her head as Amy approached. Amy stopped a few feet away, her voice soft but steady. "Good morning, girl," she said. The mare's ears flicked toward her, curious. Amy smiled faintly. "You remind me of someone," she whispered. Her fingers brushed the air between them, waiting. This time, the mare stepped closer on her own, closing the distance. Their eyes met a silent understanding, pure and wordless. It wasn't just about trust anymore. It was about forgiveness. Amy wasn't forgiving fate, or even herself. She was forgiving the world for being unpredictable and cruel, for taking away and still asking her to love again. And she was choosing to say yes. Jack appeared behind her, hands in his pockets, his voice gentle. "Looks like she's taken a liking to you." Amy turned slightly, smiling. "Maybe she sees what I've been trying to hide," she said. "That I'm still afraid. But I'm ready to try again." Jack nodded. "That's all any of us can do." He walked away slowly, leaving her with the horse, leaving her with herself. Amy reached out, finally resting her palm against the mare's neck. The touch was soft, electric, alive. For a moment, she could almost feel the heartbeat that once guided her, the rhythm she thought she had lost. But it wasn't gone. It had just changed form, living now in this new beginning. Later that day, Amy led the mare into the corral. Lou, Lisa, and Jack watched from the porch as she mounted for the first time since the accident. The wind stirred her hair, and the horse shifted nervously beneath her. Amy took a deep breath and whispered, "It's okay. We'll do this together." She nudged the mare forward, slow at first, then steady. Each step felt like reclaiming a piece of her heart. The world around her blurred into color and light, the ranch coming alive again. The sound of hooves echoed across the open land, not in sorrow, but in strength. As she rode across the field, Amy lifted her eyes toward the horizon. The sun had fully risen now, warm and bright, touching everything with life. She smiled through the wind, whispering words meant only for the one she'd lost. "Thank you for teaching me how to love enough to let go." The camera would fade out on that image, Amy and the mare riding beneath the wide Alberta sky, the sound of distant thunder now replaced by birdsong. The story of loss had become a story of rebirth, because at Heartland, even after the darkest storm, the light always finds its way back. Evening falls over Heartland like a quiet promise. The day's warmth lingers in the air, and the golden light stretches across the fields where shadows used to live. The ranch is alive again, laughter drifting from the barn, the sound of hooves echoing through the hills, and the gentle hum of life returning to its rhythm. But at the center of it all stands Amy, her spirit no longer weighed down by grief, but carried forward by grace. She leans against the paddock fence, watching the young mare graze peacefully. The same horse that once trembled at every sound now moves with confidence, her coat gleaming in the sunset. Amy smiles softly. "You've come a long way," she says under her breath, but she knows those words are just as much for herself. For weeks, she had fought the silence, the guilt, the endless questions of why. Yet somewhere between heartbreak and healing, she found something stronger: acceptance. Losing her horse hadn't broken her. It had reshaped her. It had reminded her that love doesn't end when something is gone. It changes form. It finds new ways to live on. Jack joins her, leaning on the fence beside her. His hat casts a shadow over his eyes, but there's a smile hidden beneath it. "You've done good, Amy," he says. "I wasn't sure you'd ever find your way back to the saddle." Amy glances at him, her eyes calm. "I almost didn't," she admits. "But I realized Heartland isn't just where I ride. It's where I remember why I ride. It's home." Jack nods, proud but quiet. "Your mom would have said the same thing." The words sink deep, stirring something inside her, not sadness, but peace. Amy looks out at the sunset, the sky now painted with pink and gold. "I think she's been with me this whole time," she whispers. "Maybe that's why I could never really stop." As the evening deepens, Lou and Lisa join them on the porch. The family gathers around the table, sharing stories, laughter, and moments that feel softer than they used to. The ranch lights glow warmly against the darkening sky, like beacons of hope. Every sound, Every smile, every heartbeat feels like a quiet celebration of survival, not of what was lost, but of what was found again. Later, when the night grows still, Amy walks one last time toward the open field. She looks up at the stars, endless and bright, and breathes in the cool air. Somewhere, she imagines her horse running free under the same sky, untamed and eternal. She whispers, "You'll always be a part of me." And for the first time, those words don't hurt. They heal. The screen fades to black as her silhouette blends into the horizon, and the gentle voiceover closes the story. In the heart of every storm, there's a lesson. In every loss, a seed of strength. And in every ending, a new beginning. This is Heartland, where love never truly leaves. It simply takes another form. The music swells softly, hopeful, emotional, and warm. The logo of Heartland Season 19, Episode 4 fades in, followed by the text, "Coming soon, a story of healing, love, and courage." The morning mist drifts gently across the fields of Heartland, wrapping the ranch in a soft silver glow. The sounds of horses fill the air again, steady hooves, gentle snorts, life in motion. It's as if the land itself has taken a deep breath after holding it in for too long. Amy stands at the stable door, a faint smile on her face, her eyes calm but filled with stories. This is not the same Amy who once stood here in tears. This is a woman who has walked through pain and come out the other side stronger, wiser, and somehow even more connected to the world around her. The new mare stands beside her now, no longer frightened, no longer uncertain. She nudges Amy's arm, and Amy laughs softly. "You're not that shy little thing anymore, are you?" she says, rubbing the mare's neck. The bond between them isn't born of perfection or control. It's built on understanding, patience, and the quiet promise that even after loss, love still finds its way back inside the barn. Old photos line the walls, snapshots of rides, smiles, and moments frozen in time. Amy pauses at one picture, her younger self beside her late horse. Her fingers trace the edges of the frame. For a moment, she feels the ache again, but it's softer now, not sharp like it once was. "You taught me how to trust," she whispers. "And how to start again." Jack's voice calls from outside. "Amy, you coming? We've got a full day ahead." His tone is lighter than it's been in months, full of the kind of warmth that comes only when things start to feel right again. Amy smiles and turns, leading the mare out into the sunlight. The sky stretches wide and clear above them, endless and blue. Lou and Lisa are already by the fence, laughing about something only family can find funny. Tim's truck pulls up, and for once, his loud voice doesn't break the peace it adds to it. Heartland feels alive again, not because everything is perfect, but because they've all learned how to carry their scars together. Amy mounts the mare slowly, taking a deep breath before guiding her toward the open field. As they start to trot, she feels that familiar rhythm, the heartbeat of the land, the spirit of the ranch, the pulse of everything she's ever loved. It's as if every hoofbeat whispers a memory, and every gust of wind carries a blessing. From a distance, the scene is simple, a rider and her horse, moving through golden light. But for Amy, it's everything. It's closure, renewal, and the continuation of a story that never truly ends. The horse moves faster now, confident and free. Amy leans forward, eyes shining, a soft laugh escaping her lips, the kind that only comes when you finally find peace. As the sun climbs higher, her voice echoes faintly in the wind, as if speaking to the spirit of every horse, every loss, every victory that Heartland has ever known. Very heart that breaks teaches you how to love again, and every goodbye teaches you that nothing beautiful is ever really gone. The camera pans upward, catching the vast sky over Heartland, boundless, endless, eternal. The music swells, soft and hopeful. The screen fades to the final message. In every ending, there's a reason to begin again. Heartland, where love always finds its way home. The night settles over Heartland, quiet and gentle, the stars shining brighter than they have in months. The ranch glows softly under the moonlight, every barn light, every open window carrying the warmth of life within. The camera drifts across the landscape, horses resting peacefully, the trees swaying in rhythm with the night breeze, and the river flowing like a silver ribbon through the valley. This isn't just another evening at Heartland. It's a moment of peace earned through tears, faith, and love. Amy stands on the porch, wrapped in her worn jacket. The air is cool, but comforting. She looks out across the fields, her gaze steady, her heart finally quiet. Behind her, faint laughter spills from the house, Lou and Lisa washing dishes, Jack playing with Lindy, the sound of family echoing like music. Amy closes her eyes and smiles. The pain that once felt endless has turned into memory, and that memory has become strength. She whispers softly, "I thought the storm would take everything from me, but it only showed me how much I still have." The camera moves closer. Her eyes reflect the stars, not with sorrow anymore, but with gratitude. She reaches into her pocket and pulls out a small, worn horseshoe, the one that belonged to her late horse. She turns it over in her hand, then kneels by the fence post and buries it gently in the soil near the paddock. "This is where you belong," she says. "Here at home." A gentle wind rises, sweeping through the fields, carrying the soft neigh of horses and the distant hum of crickets. The sound is pure, timeless, the soul of Heartland itself.